kicking it off today is two gentlemen here to talk about one of my absolute favorite comic books on the rack right now. That book is Strange Academy, and here to talk all about Strange Academy, do a little bit of a deep dive, are the creators of the book. Please welcome Humberto Ramos and Scotty Young. How are you guys doing? Humberto, you made it, man.
I did.
At the 0 hour,
were you worried about me?
Not for a second. Not for a single second. How you doing? Are you remoting in from
Mexico? Yep.
All right, man. Well, thanks for getting up bright and early because what is it, like 9 a.m. over there on the West Coast right now?
Actually, it's 10 because we have the time changing yesterday. So.
Oh, that's right. Well, welcome to Baltimore Comic-Con Live. Scotty, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, man?
Doing good. You guys do the con circuit on a pretty regular basis, so you kind of know what day 3 feels like. It's yes. You wake up and you're like, I got this. We can do this. It's going to be a blast. And then once you start rolling, it winds up being the best day of the entire 3-day con, guys. So, I mean, I want to say to everybody that's in the chat room, we are going to be fielding some of your live questions a little bit later on. So get them in, right at about the 30-minute mark. But kind of the point of this entire thing is to talk about your new book, Strange Academy. If I could just talk just a little bit about Strange Academy. My first taste of this book was in the back. It was a preview you guys did in the back of many of the Marvel books. And I got to it at the end of the book. I read just a few pages and it was instantly hooked. As soon as I read those 3 pages, went down to my local comic shop, Chicago Comics. Shout out to Chicago Comics. Yeah. And I said, yeah, go ahead. Pre-order this book for me and just put it on my pull list. I know I'm going to love it. Issue 1 came out and I just instantly fell in love. I mean, a sorcerer's school for the Marvel youth. How can you go wrong? So for anybody who hasn't kind of read the book, Scotty and Humberto, if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving a kind of a pitch and sort of an idea of what this book is all about.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That was very kind words. I'm glad. And shout out to Chicago Comics. I went there a lot when I was the 10 years I lived in Chicago as well. Strange Academy is just what you said. It is a magic school that Dr. Strange and Dr. Voodoo decided to open up and start training some of the new generation of sorcerers and mystic arts users in the Marvel Universe. We really thought there's so many different avenues or so many corners and realms in the Marvel Universe. And a lot of times we're really hyper focused on the mutants and the Avengers and the superheroes. And it was really, we just kind of thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to kind of explore the other avenues of the Marvel Universe and dive a little bit into the magic stuff. I'm a big kind of fantasy magic fan. And so those books, those characters always intrigued me a lot. So yeah, it's really just diving into the mystic art side of Marvel with a bunch of brand new characters and seeing what we can do.
Yeah, I want to talk a lot about the characters, the entire universe that you guys have built here. I'll kind of get you off full screen. There we go. I don't want to embarrass anybody by having their head too big. So I want to kind of do a little bit of a dive back into the history and sort of the pitch to Marvel. Where did the concept for the book come from? The evolution of the story. Humberto, I don't know if who did the initial pitch to the folks over at Marvel for this great idea of new characters?
Scotty, of course. He always do that. He's the mastermind behind this book. So
yeah, it really was. Honestly, it'd been in my head for a little while. Just the idea of a magic school at Marvel. Marvel's such a huge universe that I was like, yeah. I grew up loving the X-Men because of the school aspect, and then Generation X that Chris Bachalo and Scott Lobdell did was one of my favorite books. Later, when Jason Aaron and Chris Bachalo did Wolverine and the X-Men, which is going back into the school again. Humberto and I both worked on New X-Men back, in the 2000s, where again we were dealing with all the students. Yeah, dealing with all the students. Got a kid back there asking for candy. I knew he was going to wait till I get on to ask for candy.
Halloween's right around the corner, Scotty.
So all of these books were always my favorite. So in my mind, I was like, it'd be fun to do one of those myself. But what's a new angle that Marvel really hasn't done? And it just really occurred to me, Asgard is really magic based. You know, you've got the whole stuff with Doctor Strange and all that stuff, and all this rich, deep kind of Kirby stuff, and Doctor Voodoo. There's so many avenues of magic in the Marvel universe that it just kind of made sense to do that. So it was really a late text to CB one night. You know, watched TV, probably had a couple glasses of wine. I'm like, you know what we should do? We should really do this. And it was about a month later, I got invited up to come to an executive editorial retreat. And it was basically all the top editors and executives and just me. I was one of the only creators there, but I was doing some business stuff there at the same time. And on the agenda, it said Scotty's Magic Book. And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize I was going to be pitching it. So I kind of winged it in the room, and everybody lit up. And then the next step was heading down to Mexico and pitching it in person to Umberto to cross my fingers and see if we could get him excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, really what makes the book so, I mean, pardon the pun, but magical is, you know, Scotty, you're writing, and of course, Humberto's art. I want to talk a little bit about the partnership of you two. I mean, did you have Mr. Ramos in mind for the concept of this book, for the art of this book, right from day one? You said you guys have worked together on New X-Men back in the day. I mean, how'd you guys link up?
We didn't work together on New X-Men. We just both worked on it. I had done like a 7-issue run, and then the big crossover came in, and I think Alberta, you came in right after that and did that crossover event I forget what the event was back then.
So many. Oh.
Yeah. So
I just know I stole the book from you. That's
you did steal it from me. But right away, I mean, I don't think there's anybody in our business better at drawing youthful characters than Umberto. So he was, of course, my first dream artist for it. At the time, he was still on Spider-Man, which, you know, he is the quintessential Spider-Man artist of our time. So while he was my top choice, I just didn't think there was any way that we were going to be able to get him away from Spider-Man. But that didn't stop me from hopping in his car one night when he picks me up from the airport and like, hey, I got Marvel on board for this idea. I think you'd be awesome for it. And yeah, I'll let Umberto tell any more on that.
Make it so hard for you. I just said, yeah. I mean, you got me at hello, pretty much. That was pretty much the pitch for me. I was, as Cody said, we had this convention here in Mexico, so I picked him up from the airport, and we were driving down to the hotel, and he pitched the idea, you know, while we were driving down to the hotel, and the way he put it was pretty much the like, you know, you've been doing the Spider-Man book for quite some time now. So have you ever thought what you're going to do next regarding Marvel and that? Because, I mean, I guess you want to be there as long as you want. But I guess you have other ideas, things that you want to do, some more characters you want to draw in that. And I told him, not really. I mean, Spider-Man is the top of the top for me. So I'm pretty happy drawing Spider-Man. So of course I'm happy at Marvel. I can do, you know, and I will do as they ask me to. But right now it's like, you know, it's me and Spider-Man. I'm happy there. So then he brought out and he said, well, I have this idea that I've been pitching around with the editors, and it's a go. I just need an artist for the book, and you know, as Scott said, you know, I thought you could be the right choice for the book, and he explained how the story goes, and he talked about the characters and the whole, you know, magic world inside the Marvel universe that he wanted to explore more. And you know, actually there were two things that make me say yeah. One, the adventure of creating characters in the Marvel universe, in the main Marvel universe, that they will be interacting with, you know, some of the most respect and known characters like Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and and so on. So characters that will be coming as guests in the book eventually. But that was already exciting enough to say yeah. But to me, after all these years in this business, I love what I do, and I can just sit down and draw whatever they ask me to, because this is what I like to do, drawing. But at some point, I realized that I want to work with the people that I like. I this is like a summer camp to me. So I get to work with my friends, the people that I have a real bond beyond the business, the job. And I've been blessed to do that in so many books that I've done, and I wanted this one to be that way. So working with Scotty, it's something that we've talked for years, and I think it came in the right time, and I think you can tell when you read the book, you can tell that we are actually enjoying this partnership, if you want to put it that way, because we really like to work together.
You can tell, and it really comes off in the pages. I want to talk. I mean, it's okay. So the book is pitched, right? Marvel's gotten it the green light. You guys have connected, and I'm just kind of going through the history of this partnership. So the book is pitched. You got all these amazing characters. You get to work on it and start creating. Scotty, you talked about obviously Asgard being such a magical place. Tell me about the choice for New Orleans as a setting, because I mean, New Orleans, very magical city. If anybody's never been there, I mean, it's very steeped in magic.
Right. That was Umberto, we decided that at the retreat that you came into. Umberto came into one of the Marvel retreats, and at that point we hadn't yet decided where it was going to be located. Of course, New York's thrown out there because everything's set in New York, and Doctor Strange is set in New York, and the Sanctum is there. We talked about it being a hidden place in Central Park. A lot of things that were like, you got to throw out there first to kind of cross them off and say, no, that's not going to work. And it wasn't until after the retreat when I think it was after the retreat, Umberto and I had walked down to CB's office, and we were waiting for him, and it was just he and I in there talking. And I can't even remember which one of us said it, but New Orleans came up, and it right away just felt right. It felt new to the Marvel Universe as far as a centralized location for a headquarters. It obviously has a lot of mysterious history of all different types. It's definitely a melting pot of culture and subcultures and a lot of mysticism. So it just kind of felt natural when we threw it out there. Of course, the next step from that was us saying we wanted to set the book in New Orleans, and we should also take a trip to New Orleans for research. Right? Which we did. And yeah. I mean, I say that jokingly, but to piggyback on what Umberto was saying, anytime that you can put a project together with people that you genuinely love outside of the construct of making comic books, but these are just your people, these are your chosen family. When you get to play pretend with your friends, it's really, really cool. And so it was a very natural thing for us to do, to get together with me and Umberto. My wife Casey came along to photograph it. Nick Lowe, Kathleen and Danny at the editorial team. We've also been friends with Nick for Nick started at Marvel a little after I did, so I think we've all known Nick for 18 years, something like that. So it was a bunch of friends in New Orleans. At first we were like, oh, this is going to be kind of cool, and we'll have fun, and we're going to bond as a creative team. But also, what it really turned out, like the stuff that you're seeing in the book, Umberto, everything, like story elements I'm putting in the book, from remembering when we were out late one night and walking back, and the laughs we had in this weird building that we walked by, and these courtyards that we saw. I mean, the courtyard the courtyard scenario, the situation of where the school itself is, I don't think we would have been able to come up with that had we not walked the streets and been like, what is inside these courtyards? And that gave us the idea to be like, oh, I think the school would be inside there, but you wouldn't be able to see it because there's all these big gated off courtyards. And some of them are very nice and pristine. Some of them have been let go and are run down. We went through some of these like voodoo museums, and at the end there's a fortune teller, which made its way into the book. Like all of these things that we wouldn't have thought about, they came about because we actually did take this trip, and it became, I think, a pretty invaluable trip that we went on. And I think like the level of reality that Umberto is bringing from that trip and the photos that we took and inserting them into the pages of this is just, it's mind blowing. I tell him almost every day, he turns a page in every day, like clockwork. So I get like a Christmas present every day. And I told him, I'm like, I'm genuinely going to have to start making up words for beautiful and great and amazing. Like, I'm just going to have to start saying syllables because it's getting impossible to make him feel like I'm not just like copying, pasting what I said yesterday.
Speaking of your trip to New Orleans, so I'm reading issue number 1, and I'm on like page number 5 or so, and I come across this shot of it's the French Quarter, like Bourbon Street, and I see a little gentleman. I'm going to see if the camera will pick this up.
Of course.
Right there.
Yep.
There's a guy in a hat.
Yep. That's me.
Hold on. Let's get that.
Yeah, right there. That's me. And editor Nick Lowe. That's Nick Lowe with me.
Oh, my God. That, like... No surprise. I mean, as soon as I got to that page, I'm like, Scotty put himself in the book.
No, I did. That's all Umberto. I'm blaming him. I got that page in the mail today. I was like, oh, he put me in the book.
Oh man, it's like you notice it as soon as you get to that page. So I mean, God, New Orleans is just the perfect setting. I mean, especially with Brother Voodoo and all the cool characters you got in there. The characters themselves. I mean, most, if not all, of these characters are original characters. I mean, it's the children of not only Marvel heroes, but also Marvel villains. Tell me a little bit about. I mean, did you guys have a laundry list of characters like right from the bat, or did you guys work together and kind of coming up with, I think Dormammu should have a kid, and tell me about the evolution of creating these brand new characters that I gotta say are probably going to live on in Marvel-dom for a long time.
Oh, I hope so.
So
it was a real mixed bag of it. Like some of them I had in my head right away. I knew that I wanted twins from Asgard. I think when I pitched to Umberto, I think I had a handful of general concepts. Twins, like kind of arrogant, cocky twins from Asgard were one of the first things that I said to him. A demon from Limbo. Obviously Emily was in my head right away. And then as we started pitching this more, right away, I knew that I wanted somebody connected to Brother Voodoo. Umberto had some really great sketches of what would become Zoe. So when he kind of really informed who she was, and then everything else. I think Doyle was, I want to say, somebody at a retreat as I was pitching it the first time at the creative retreat. Somebody was just kind of like throwing out things. Maybe Joe Quesada or somebody brought up like, "Oh yeah, I mean, who knows? Dormammu could have a kid." And then I instantly started thinking of I think alliteration in Marvel is just it's like so many characters. Peter Parker, everybody there's so many alliterations at Marvel. So hold on. Sorry. Are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
All right, I had a phone call kicked me off my my computer screen.
I hate it when that happens. That happens all day.
But somebody threw out hey, maybe who knows? Maybe Dormammu has a kid. And I was like, and I thought real quick, and I just literally wrote down Doyle Dormammu, and that name was there. Umberto, you could talk about Herman, who you brought like a kind of a Mexican folklore to the table, and really it was a collaboration. So yeah, you could talk a little bit about that.
It's again, it's really cool when you get to create characters from scratch. I love that. I do love that. So Scotty sent me the list of characters. There were a lot of them actually, and in the first draft he told me, well, and we will have some characters that will be appearing in the backgrounds because it's a school, so there's a lot of characters, and that we might be working with them eventually as the story evolves. And so I told him, here in Mexico we have a thing. Magic is a huge thing in Mexico. It's a mystic thing, like in the movie Coco. You see the afterlife world. Well, here in Mexico, it's a big important thing, and I wanted to say a little, put up my 2 cents on this magical world that we are creating. So I told them about this. This thing we have, this wizardly thing in Mexico called the Nahuales, that it's wizards, chamanes we call them, that can turn themselves into animals. That's how the story goes. So I told them, wait, in one of those characters that you are telling me that we can put in the background, can we add a kid from Mexico that eventually might, be in the story at some point, because I would like to address to that part as well. The magic, and put it out like it happens not only in the school but around the world, and eventually bring people or characters from other part of the world. Because it's when you start doing research about magic and that, then you learn that every single country had their own view and their own way of trading with magic. So that's where Herman came from. And I call it that way because I do that a lot. I hope people don't mind, but I like calling characters from my own family. So I had this. I have an uncle that died so many years ago, and it was my dad's favorite brother, and he died in an accident like a long time ago, and his name was Herman. So it was a nice way to again pay respects and share a little, because this is what we do in this book. We put a little of ourselves in this character. So I thought it would be cool to name it that way. So and I think we're going to have more characters like him, from different backgrounds eventually if it comes to the book.
That's really interesting how you talk about you're taking different aspects of magic from different cultures and weaving it into the story. I can only imagine we'll start seeing a lot of that in the different classes, because you got different professors that teach different classes. I mean, one of the funnest parts about watching something like Harry Potter is seeing the kids in the classroom and
Right.
witnessing how magic works for the very first time.
Right.
Talk about kind of your concepts for coming up with these different classes and maybe some of your plans moving forward. Is the class structure going to be a big part of the story in future issues?
Yeah, there's definitely fun class stuff. One of the biggest challenges that we have faced is, like Umberto was talking about in the character creation thing, was we initially thought we were going to have like a solid 5 main characters, and then we really just came up with some other ones to be in the background and like weave in and out slightly every now and then. But as we created those other 5, like we made the main 5 and then we did 5 or 6 more. And as we did that, I think we liked them too much. And all of a sudden, it's like every page and every storyline had every character. And like you see on the cover of number 1, it's all the characters. And I was like, oh my God, I think Umberto's going to hate me now because I love every character. I love every character too much. I can't let him go. It's not.
And I do hate you. I mean, drawing 10 characters in every panel. It's
I solved that problem in the second arc. Now that Umberto and I have we're well into the second arc now, so I'm way more conscious with putting some characters over here and putting some characters over here and saving his hand and arm a little bit each time. But no, the class stuff is going to be fun. The school stuff, the stuff that's most I think the class stuff is really fun because it gives you a quick break from dramatic conflict. But a lot of the school aspect stuff that I really like to deal with is dynamics between new friends. I mean, these are interesting ages for people, whether you're magical or not. You're trying to find out who you are. You're trying to find out where you fit in with the social structure of school, and you feel like an adult, but you're not. And then there's also the dynamics between teenagers and adults, which is a real clash because you have one side who has been a teenager and now they are the adult and they have all the lessons. You have another side that feels like they're adults. They're not. So in a way, they think they're clashing with a peer. I find those dynamics to be really interesting, and I like to explore that a lot. So I think the school aspects that we're playing with a lot there are going to be more social structure stuff. And then where we dive in with the classes is, you're peppering in, just different ways to expand what kind of magic, what is magic? What's an economics class when you talk about magic in a school of magic? It's how many layers is that? And that's dimensional and universal and galactical, whatever.
Using all the Marvel buzzwords.
Right? And so it's you could really start thinking about because magic has cost, so economics of magic are not just about currency. It's about ethereal currency. It's spiritual currency and metaphysical currency. So these kind of things are all things that we're going to start diving into as we get a little deeper. The fun of this book though is having a cast this big. We really get to lean in for a while and let you get to know these kids.
Yeah, that's what I was going to lead to in my next question, just talking about the characters. I mean, I have my favorite characters. I love Doyle, Dormammu, love Desi Despair. I mean, do you guys have favorite characters that you like, each of you? And then are we going to start introducing new characters? Is there going to be a second class and a third class? Because this book can run forever if you think about it. I mean, every year could be a whole nother class of characters that come out. So favorites, and then maybe what more characters coming down the road?
Umberto, I'll let you take that first.
Well, it's like asking you to choose which of your children you like the most. I do like them all. That's for sure. I mean, I like Emily because we follow her story. She's like our leading character. You can tell from page one, issue one, that we're gonna follow her in some way. But what I like to draw them all, but I like the idea of how they interact to each other. How they first they start as antagonists, and then they have to evolve to work as a team, and they have to learn that even when they are not necessarily have to be friends, but they have to be a team. And dealing with being a teenager. I mean, how Scotty put it down, write it down when he sent me scripts. Like, this is the talking panel that I like to be. He likes me to draw all these characters just talking. I mean, no action, no nothing, just reactions, just to trying to express how they feel while I draw them. So that, I think, is the thing that I really enjoy the most. And I like Zoe because, well, she is a character that will evolve as she. I mean, I think they put out some pages from issue.
They did. They did ruin it, and
they spoiled the
they spoiled it in the preview pages of 4. Yeah.
But that's a character that was really interesting to work with, because we know, and now you know, if you go to the to check it out, that she has a secret that nobody knows, or well, some they know, like Desi, she knows, and she let him know, but we are not aware of what's going on till issue 4, right? And so it's interesting to work on each character, like Gus, a lot drawn up, but it's huge, so we have to find ways to put him in the backgrounds and make him interact with the other kids, and but he's lovely to draw. He's such nice, cool giant.
Yeah, I love writing Desi because I love writing a character who's seems to be learning everything, but also knows more than we know. She's a real conflicted character because of where she's from, being from Limbo, and basically spending most of her time dealing with other people's despair. And what does that do to one's psyche?
You guys can see Desi. She's in the bottom left-hand corner of this. Screen
I
right
think
here.
I love Umberto's design for her. It's just beautiful. And I also love Eric and Alvi a lot, the Asgardian twins. I like them a lot because in some ways that's me exploring my sons, and not literally, but exploring my two sons in the way that they are absolute opposites. It's so bizarre to have multiple kids in your home that came from the same people and have been raised the same way, and then be so absolutely opposite in who they are. And I feel like Eric and Alvi are that. You have one that's more introverted and very an intellect, and very wants to do the thing and wants to know all the stuff and do all the things. And then you have another one that's just a ball of energy and sarcastic wit, and is more arrogant than he probably should be, but also that reaps him rewards that maybe it shouldn't, but it does. And so I think there's a lot of interesting things when you have two people that live in the same house, that come from the same place, and there's such stark differences. So they're really interesting. Obviously, it is impossible not to say Doyle, right? I mean, it's just, like Umberto. Listen, here's what I've got to say. I sent him the descriptions for the characters. I sent Doyle Dormammu. The sketch he came back with was it. Like, it was just it. Like, in fact, I think he tried to do more, and we were all like, nope, you already did it. Like, his first sketch out of the gate was the Doyle that you all see on page 1 or whatever he shows up.
He's an evil but an adorable character. I mean, just look at he's just so cute.
Yeah, and I love him too, because obviously I love exploring dichotomy. I love exploring two sides of things. That's why I said the teenager and the adult, the conflict between that. There's really a lot of similarities to there, but they're very opposite. Doyle is something you think he's going to be something, or is he supposed to be something? Does he want to be that? Does he want to be something else? These all things that are happening in this one kid's mind. And Dormammu himself, the Dread Dormammu, is a mystery. What is he? Is he human? Is he able to have kids? Is this really his kid? Like, all of these things are questions. Like, how does all this happen?
They never really explore where these kids came from, and because I mean, did it take two people to make one of these kids, or are they just being spawned like Star Wars style?
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe we'll explore that in the later years. Well, guys, we're at that point. We're going to start taking live viewer questions. There's a ton of them in there. So,
all right.
So let your questions fly in the comment section. First one comes from Tevia Smolka. Scotty and Humberto, question. I am just wondering, will Strange Academy cross over into big events like King in Black or any other Marvel event, or will this be self-contained? Any King in Black Strange Academy crossovers?
Nope. We are... This is somewhere. The answer is somewhere in the middle of the question. We are not going to be diving headfirst into any event that keeps popping up. We really have. This was a really solid plan, and this was years ago. We pitched this and started the process. So, we each had things that we had to finish up before we could dive in. So we've been cooking this for a long time, and because of the nature of the story that we want to tell, we actually have a big, definite story that we're telling, and to do that, we had to ask for some freedom to not have to tie into, every 3 issues tie into an event, which they were very on board for. It's not like we had to fight for that. They agreed. But that being said, we are still tying ourselves into the larger Marvel universe as a whole. So, right now we're working on an issue where a couple characters that are in it, we are using the current modern day version of what they look like in their book, and making sure that so all the offices are still go. Like we have another character as Guardian in Nature that we had to check in with Will Moss about who could be a parent for some people, and so we're still very much part of the Marvel Lattice work. And if cool things happen and we can bring it over, or vice versa, we're absolutely still up for that. But we're not going to be as restrictive and as to have to jump into events if we don't feel like it fits into the narrative of what we've got going on for the grander story.
Good point. Well, here's the $1 million question. We had Tom Brevoort on yesterday, and something he mentioned was that after this King in Black issue, the massive crossover event, the Marvel universe is going to change dramatically. This is a quote from Mr. Brevoort. Did that memo get across your desk? And any plans for is it going to affect your book at all?
Is this the 3rd, 4th, or 5th change dramatically?
I know. That's kind of that should just be your at the top of your letterhead.
Marvel
changing dramatically next year.
Yeah. No, like I said, we're looped in. Everything that goes on in Marvel publishing now, we've all known for 2 years. Each one of the retreats we go up to, we are in the loop. We've been kicking around King in Black with Donnie and the whole squad for 2 years now. So there's always, by the time everybody else is getting all the information, we've all planned our building blocks accordingly. So we've got some cool, fun stuff, and the Marvel. I mean, that's going to be a big, fun story as well.
I love this question right here from Crimson Knight 700. Scotty and Herberto, if you had to take a class at Strange Academy, which class would you take?
What about you, Roberto?
I don't know. I would take whatever Scarlet Witch classes are.
Why is that?
I just want to see her, teaching. Yes, she's a powerful character, and would be really interesting.
Yeah, actually, honestly, her chaotic. I forget exactly what I labeled that class, but in that first or second issue, I forget. It might be second issue when we go in and she's teaching the kids the chaotic magic, which is how to basically tear apart reality and reform it. It's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool class. Also, I'd have to go to Voodoo's zombie class, because instead of dissecting frogs, he's teaching you what the undead are. That's pretty cool.
That was a fun chunk. I think it was in issue 3, where you got to actually draw the zombie class. It's not fetal pigs. It's actually zombies and stuff.
Right.
I don't know if we dodged this question earlier or not, but I want to reintroduce it. It's something that I mentioned. If this thing does run on for years, do you have ideas for future characters? Or are you going to stick with the core?
No, sure. There's definitely going to be other characters who come in, and not just students, but other characters outside that will have influence on the students. Right now we have we have a pretty solid issue to issue map of the first 24 issues of this. So and beyond that, if everything goes according in that, there should be no problem by going beyond that. It's going to be pretty cool. But throughout there absolutely will be new characters coming in and out.
Awesome. I'm just rifling. I got to backtrack a lot because people have been just dropping in their questions a lot. This one comes from, is this even, it just says sidebar. Scotty Young, Middle West is an amazing story I've ever read, and most original and powerful. I've tweeted and spoke about him. Can't say enough. So a lot of love going on in the comment section.
Thank you.
This one came in just talking about Magic characters. I'm just wondering if some of them could be interacting with magic from the X-Men.
Yeah, she's a teacher at the school.
Yeah, she's been in multiple issues. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, the $1 million question is, I mean, obviously the book's in multiple printings right now. Any end in sight for Strange Academy, or is this thing going to run on just for forever?
That's really a question that you all get to answer for us,
guys. I can't stress how awesome this book is. If you're not picking it up, pick it up. Pick up printing number 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't say how great it is.
I will say that we've kind of defied odds in a book like this, which is, we pitched a new book filled with brand new characters, and we've, instead of comic books usually launch and then slowly decline in sales, and we've done the exact opposite, which is almost never happens. So we have to thank you guys a lot for showing up. But anytime that you wonder how long a book's going to go on, everybody out there, like all the readers, you all have the power to answer that and make it happen, because that's all that matters. Is if people show up to read it, then we will show up to make it.
Yeah, well, you got to pick it up. This one comes from Bradley Tan. Hey, Scotty, as a writer and artist, what's your work process like? How'd you practice when you first got started?
Well, I'll just speak to writing for artists, because I think we all have different artistic processes, and I'll let Umberto talk about his artistic process. But I think that having been an artist for 10 years before I started writing made me understand writing for artists much better. I love anytime I'm getting ready to work with a new artist, I go and I grab about 5 volumes of something they've done. Didn't really have to do that with Umberto, because I've been scouring over his pages for 20 years. So I feel like I've memorized how he works. But just to refresh myself before we started, I just flipped through 4, 5, 6 volumes of Umberto's latest work, and just kind of got in my head like a lot of things that he likes to do and the kind of panel. I mean, Umberto will tell you, like, I will say panel 4, the Umberto special, which is like the is the all these characters' heads in a line reacting to something off panel. He is the master of that. So and you could see these really, really great tool sets that artists have when you look through their work, and it's so part of my job's done by just understanding his strengths. It makes my job easier when I start moving these characters around the board, so that the process for me really first starts with understanding what Umberto likes to do, what he doesn't like to do, some of the challenges that he wants, and then just sitting down like I have index cards, and I put a sentence per index card per page. That's the 20 pages. And then I look at those index cards and I just start scripting. Sometimes, that bounces around, but yeah, that's my writing process.
Well, I mean, that covered quite a bit. I see this one question and I got to ask about it. It comes from Fools Get Dunked. Great name, by the way. And I love this because if you did a Strange Academy for villains, who would the headmaster be? Love the series so far, by the way. It's a ton of fun. Obviously, there are villains' kids going to regular Strange Academy, but have you thought about maybe doing an evil Strange Academy? Has that concept come up?
Umberto, I have somebody in mind, but who do you think, Umberto?
Who the headmaster would be?
Yeah.
I would say Dormammu.
Dormammu?
Yeah.
That's a good.
I would put it against,
I'm gonna answer this 2 ways. I would say Dr. Doom, but
good answer. God,
the thing that I like about what we're doing with Strange Academy is I don't think that it's going to be out of left field if we have a villain come and teach or do be the principal for a week, the headmaster, because that's what I love about magic. Magic isn't as cut and dry. Good, evil, good, bad, criminal, not criminal. Magic is messy, and weird, and it all is. I mean, we've watched Doctor Strange over the years because magic. You know, when Jason Aaron and them they brought in and introduced the cost of magic and made it be basically have a balance. These are interesting concepts that get murky and muddy, and it's not. Oh, and then nobody knows what to do. Not every choice is the right choice, and that's the interesting gray area of villainry, right? I think magic doesn't have clear-cut, twirly mustache villains as maybe some of the other superhero books do. So I don't know that we would need two schools. I think that we might have a division within one school. You know, like if Dr. Doom came in and subbed, would that make sense? Would people freak out? Would like the Avengers be like, hey, this isn't okay, you know? So
field trips to Avengers, the new Avengers Robot Tower and all that kind of cool stuff. Oh man, my mind is spinning right now for a Doctor Doom kid in some way. and Humberto, you would just crush that. Very much cutesy, kind of like Doyle Dormammu, but a little cute little mask.
Doom Jr.
I mean, good God.
Yeah.
People are loving this stuff. Great question from Bradley Tan. I mean, it's just a wonderful comic book question to all creators. You know, what are some of your favorite stories of all time? You know, what are some of the books that you guys, when getting into the industry, kind of drew inspiration from?
Humberto, you're up.
Well, you know, I'm a Spider-Man fan, like all the way. So I would say two of them. One inspired me to be a comic book artist, and the other, I just think, is the best Spider-Man story ever told. That is Kraven's Last Hunt. You know, most people would agree with me about it. And the other book is Monsters Unleashed. That it is it's an actual Fantastic Four book. You know, written by Walter Simonson and drawn by Art Adams. And that book made me decide that I wanted to be a comic book artist because I love Art Adams' work, and I love how he drew Spider-Man and the new Fantastic Four. I mean, that concept, I loved it, and I wish once in the future we'd have the opportunity to draw a new Fantastic Four story. I want to have that in my CV. So so those two books I would say are they told me something about what I wanted to do in this business.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had DeMatteis on yesterday, and we talked a lot about Kraven's Last Hunt. Scotty, any books that kind of just land in the back of your head that were just major inspirations?
Oh yeah, the whole Age of Apocalypse. The whole Age of Apocalypse pause, where the whole Marvel Universe paused, or all the X books paused for a summer and relaunched as the Age of Apocalypse books, and especially Chris and Scott's Generation Next, which I know Nick Lowe, if he's watching, will be excited because it has Sugar Man. But yeah, that whole I just like that whole.
Is that a spoiler? Is that a spoiler, Scotty?
No, I don't think so. If I'm spoiling Age of Apocalypse, man.
No, but Sugar Man in our book, or at some point.
Ooh, we might have to put Sugar Man in. I have Sugar Man.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we got about 5 more minutes here to chat. So if anybody has any last minute questions, drop them in the chat. One thing I have to kind of wrap up my portion of this is this thing screams animated series. It screams live action series. It screams, if anything could make the jump from the page to the screen, it's this concept. Has there been any discussion? I mean, how does that work on the comic book side when they see something that they think could transition from the page to the screen? How does that work? And has there been any discussion of that moving forward? Has anybody pitched it? Because I mean, good God, with so many awesome animated stuff popping up, I mean, this could be live action. It just It seems like a no-brainer.
That's an interesting idea, and it's there's a lot of moving parts when those things happen. So who knows? I mean, I think Humberto and I can both agree that we agree with you that it would be absolutely amazing to see either one of those happen and see these characters be explored in other mediums. I will say for our part, my part, I just love to think about these characters on the page at the moment, and not get too ahead of myself on anything else. I love we make comic books and we play pretend on paper, and I think the more we're focused on that, the better that it all could be when we if and when we ever pass the baton to the next stage of entertainment.
Right, I feel the same. When we came up with this book, we just wanted to draw put it as a comic book, as how it is, and then it's decision comes from somewhere else, and but I to answer that question, I wanna believe that if they see the soul and heart put it in this book, they might like it because that's how it was built. So I would like it to happen. Yeah, I was thinking it to happen before I start drawing it. No, because I want to draw a comic book. I mean, like people ask me about some books that I've drawn, across the years, like creator-owned books that I've done before, that if any of them it will ever be not everything come, well, not everything, but some of them turn into series or movies or animation movies and that. And I told them I don't know, I never thought of them that way. I mean, I guess if somebody likes it enough, meaning executives and people with money, whoever take these kind of decisions, then it will happen. But if it doesn't, I don't really care much. I mean, I because what I want to do is to draw a comic book that you guys can pick it up every month and have fun, and that's it.
I mean, I think it's going to happen, but this has been amazing. I could talk to you guys for 2 hours about Strange Academy. There's one person I think that wants to come on and say hi, really quick. Al, if you're there, you might want to just come on and say hi. We got
I guess
Mr. Al Ewing is going to be up next. Just wanted to jump in and say hello.
Yeah,
No.
I guess too.
You get?
Yeah, not bad. I've got my lockdown.
I was gonna say you're
my
so
little moment.
You're so clean and shaven. I haven't seen.
I looked even cleaner. I gave myself like a clean shave, and it didn't work at all. And now I'm in the middle of growing it back.
Well, it's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, good to see you too, man.